A German expert traveled thousands of miles to Vietnam.
Chịp giỏi thế nhỉ, chịp ơi, giỏi quá là giỏi nhỉ, chịp ơi. Chịp giỏi thật. Con này là rất là dễ. Em không có biết là bao nhiêu con mình làm cả đêm. Làm bao nhiêu đêm cuối cùng không có cứu được. Mình phải làm tiếp. Mình phải làm tiếp vì còn rất nhiều con khác nữa.
A love for primates motivated Elkesh Viet to devote tireless efforts to Cúc Phương Endangered Primate Rescue Center, or EPRC, for the last 20 years.
So first of all, Elke, thank you so much for joining Talk Vietnam. And we are sitting in such a special place.
You're right. We are here in Cúc Phương National Park, the oldest Vietnamese national park, and this particular place is the Endangered Primate Rescue Center.
First of all, I know that you are very busy with your schedule, so thank you for taking your time with us.
It's a pleasure.
And my first question is, what made you come here and why Vietnam? Why Cúc Phương Endangered Primate Rescue Center?
Honestly, when I came here first in 2002, I didn't plan to stay for that long. I had the chance in Germany to get my dream job. I'm a trained zookeeper, so actually trained to work with wildlife in zoological gardens, in zoos. And this is what I want to do since I'm a child. And when I finished my apprenticeship in Zoo Berlin, I thought about traveling. I was interested in conservation work before already. And there came a job opportunity to be foreign head keeper for a half or a year here in Cúc Phương. And I thought, okay, it's something pretty cool. I was interested traveling a bit more far, getting experience within Asian culture.
That was 2002, so
Yeah.
now it's 20 years already. Yeah. Describe to us your job here, and your focus is mainly on primates, right?
We are a primate rescue center. We have about 170 really rare Vietnamese primates here. Half of them are confiscated from illegal wildlife trade, and the other half is born, bred in our center. And my job is to be head animal keeper, supervisor for the daily work with the primates and supervising the animal keeping staff.
So why do you have that special interest in primates?
To be honest, I also would care for other wildlife. I like actually all creatures, everything, especially what has fur. So from squirrels to civets to primates, I would care for everything. But when I dig deeper into the material here about langurs, I'm fascinated. First of all, so many rare species here, nowhere else in the world, like Katma langur, Delacroix langur, Harding langurs, and other species only in this place. There was nearly no knowledge about keeping around because langurs or also other species are really difficult to keep in captivity due to their highly stressed and due to their leaf diet. The other thing what fascinates me is we are working here with locals. The majority are Hmong minority. And we have some of our staff, they grew up inside Cúc Phương National Park. They have a vast knowledge about plants and wildlife. But before, they used it for maybe hunting and collecting. And now they can bring their experience to be part of our conservation work.
Hôm nay mồm chị bị ong đốt, đi cắt lá bị ong đốt ngay vào chỗ mép mồm này. Nói chung là cũng thường xuyên anh em thường xuyên bị bởi vì mùa này mùa ong mà.
The staff here have to take turns picking leaves to feed the animals every day. The primates at the center need more than 1,000 bundles of various leaves every day, weighing more than 400 kilograms. Each employee must collect at least 40 kilograms of leaves per day to feed the animals at the center.
Là ở đây bao nhiêu năm rồi, thích việc này, biết là vất vả nhưng cũng việc hay, cũng có điểm hay. Lương của mình cũng trung bình thôi. Nếu người ta là không muốn làm với động vật thì người ta bỏ đi, người ta đi công ty xung quanh đây công ty.
Đấy, con gái cũng tự hào mình là làm ở đây. Rồi nhiều hôm nhìn thấy mẹ ở trên tivi rồi họ hàng mãi Thanh Hóa rồi trên nội cũng gọi điện hỏi thăm. Ôi tối hôm qua nhìn thấy con ở trên tivi, con làm việc tốt thế, cũng là một công việc cao cả.
Không có quan trọng, học cao quá, không phải là bắt buộc phải đi hay là học đại học xong là không yêu đâu mà không có làm được. Người yêu nghề, yêu động vật.
You know, because you've been here for 20 years and you've been working with primates and devoted so much time and efforts to support them, are there any special characteristics of langurs that maybe we do not know about that amaze you?
As I said, it's really difficult even in good, wealthy Western zoos to care for primates, to care for langurs. Langurs live on leaf diet. They have a multi-chambered stomach. They have a digestion, something similar to a cow or a buffalo. They eat leaves with high celluloses. We have to cut, and this is what our keepers are doing, every day 400 kilograms of at least 7-8 different species.
How many carekeepers do you have to
At the moment we have 25, but they do care work and they also do construction work and hand weaving and enrichment. They do everything, but bundle every day 1,000 different separate bundles to feed the langurs 3 times a day. What also, this is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Leaf cutting, no matter whether it's Lunar New Year, no matter whether it's 43 degrees hot or it's heavy rain, typhoon and slippery, our keepers work. Our keepers work hard, our keepers are punctual like Germans and they have a really good work attitude because they know the langurs and the gibbons, they need food. And the other thing what people don't know is about langurs, one male has several wives. So this is not, there's a lot of misconception about, they all say, monkey, eat banana and yeah, keep them alone to amuse me. This is not how monkey business works. Langurs eat leaf, no banana. With banana you can kill them. And they need friends, and one male wants to have several wives to be a happy family.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. I didn't know about that before this trip. You know, I witnessed you sort of communicate with the langurs. And so you must understand their traits, their personality, and even their language, if there's one. So maybe can you tell us more about all of the expertise that you had during the years in talking to primates?
Of course, they make different sounds, what you should not always repeat, because if they make an aggressive sound like and you would do it to them, they would jump right into your face and you don't need to upset them. They have like a baby crying. If you know, you hear the babies, then you know they're a bit anxious or whatever. You don't necessarily do them. They have an aggressive call, like when they're seeing a different troop, like whatever. But also like the gibbons have their singing and whatever. I think actually not only me, our keepers, the majority know it, but they don't know actually what amazing knowledge they have.
Okay, yeah. So let's say when a langur is happy, what sound do they make? What about
So
us?
especially when they're eating and then so like enjoying it and let's just be satisfied.
Okay. And what about when they are upset with something?
It depends on the species. Like langurs often and calling aggressive. But the gibbons make completely different sounds. Also, they are upset, or they see a snake, or they see an eagle. They have even different sounds for different predators. Either it's on the ground or it's in a tree. So they give us a clue what is around.
Okay, and then when you hear that, you come and check and.
It depends how intense it is, and if one starts, then usually the neighbor cages also continue to do this, and it depends if it's an unusual time, like if a gibbon is singing after 4 o'clock, of course I would check, because 4 o'clock is sleeping time for gibbons. If there's any gibbon singing, it tells me, okay, I have to check something happened for whatever. Maybe somebody broke out, a tree fell over, or somebody injured, or whatever. I need to check, but sometimes they're just calling, and I think, okay, it was only an airplane or a bird.
Okay, yeah. How many highly endangered species that the Endangered Primary Rescue Center is caring for at the moment?
We have at the moment 14 species. All species here are endangered or critical endangered. Vietnam has amongst the 25 most endangered primate species in the world, there's 5 Vietnamese species. This is a warning to do action right now. If you have like Katma langur and there's 70 individuals left, only in Vietnam, only on Katma Island, that is a warning. We still, if we take action right now, we still maybe can rescue them, but it needs joint action from government, from locals, from rangers, from everybody to participate. In 10 years, it's time over.
So, can you give us some examples of the highly endangered primates, langur species here at the center?
We have some Katma langurs, we have Delacour's langurs here. They're endemic to this area. They have been in Cuc Phuong. There may be some few left, but not in big numbers. We have like northern white-cheeked gibbon. This was hunted out in 1980 in Cuc Phuong National Park, and both Cuc Phuong langur and northern white-cheeked gibbon we try to breed, and in the next 10 to 20 years rewild them inside Cuc Phuong National Park again.
So, for a person from big city like me and traveling here and seeing you guys doing the amazing job, I feel very amazed. But then I also thinking, is it very different living inside Cuc Phuong, a national park like this? And was it tough, or you really enjoy it, the lifestyle, mingling with the nature and the primates and all of the endangered species here?
To be honest, I also come from big cities, but I'm most probably not the normal German. I don't want to live in a city. I knew it from my childhood. I just want to be surrounded by nature and animals. That's where I feel well. Sometimes we have to go to the city for bank, for offices, for bureaucracy works, but I try to avoid it. I live in a forest, and now Vietnam develops much more. It's not like 20 years ago. There was no internet, there was no phone, there was no email, there was nothing Western food to buy. But I was young and I was passionate, and I was so overwhelmed by this nature, the squirrels around my house, these birds, the snakes. And my hobbies are like taking pictures and experience and learn languages and exchange with the locals. And I'm happy in this place. I'm just happy and full of life here. I don't need the big city.
What is so special about caring for langurs? What kind of knowledge or expertise that you need to know?
The feeding is very, very difficult. The leaf feeding, especially hand rearing, switching from the milk diet to the leaf diet. And the langurs have some small microbes inside their stomach to help them to digest the leaves. There's a lot of knowledge we also had to try to learn by success and failure. But also not only langurs, also the lorises, the things what is written in scientific books, it doesn't mean necessarily it's right. We discovered other things here, it's nowhere written. So actually this place here, including all the Vietnamese and Hmong working here, have a vast knowledge. And now we need to try to get this knowledge somehow written down, because there's a lot of rescue centers throughout Asia, a lot of zoos around the world contacting us with questions, help with gibbons or langurs or lorises. And we are mostly not aware that here is this knowledge, that we have actually this knowledge.
Right, right. So it's good to keep it and record it, and so
Yes.
you can share to other people.
And I alone couldn't do it, like 180 primates or 170 primates, how should I observe them? But we have several really good keepers. If they observe, they tell me, this couple was mating. I need this information to know, she will give birth in a half year. Or they were telling, did you see that this lorises eat this tree or tree sap? Yeah, this is so much knowledge here and observation also amongst our stuff around.
Established in 1993, Cúc Phương Endangered Primate Rescue Center, EPRC, is known by the nature conservation and wildlife protection community as the center where 4 species of primates are successfully bred in captivity.
The majority of the cases
Along with
birds
previous
are langurs.
generations, Elke Schwiertz has made an impressive contribution to this achievement as a matchmaker for langurs. Taking the Talk Vietnam team to visit langur families, Ms. Elke said that this primate species has a very rich and sometimes complex range of emotions like humans. They know love, hate, and anger, and even like to be pampered.
This male has 2 wives already, but we want to add another wife because the langurs usually have 1 male, several female groups with their offsprings, because the females help each other in rearing the kids.
Okay.
So the ideal what we're trying at the center is 1 male langur and 2 to 3 females.
Okay.
This is Theo.
Okay.
So, and actually it's not a problem to pair a male with a female, but add another female, because the females are arguing with each other.
Oh, so they are arguing. What's happening?
Luna was the troublemaker, so we put Luna into the house for a night, that the bear protects the new guy. And you see, this female is now friendship with each other, and Luna causes trouble.
It seems like now they are in peace, the 3 female langurs.
It's more peaceful than in the beginning. And the fight, the females had a fight with each other, but it was not a really, really bad fight. A really bad fight would look really horrible. But of course, all the 3 females want to be the favorite female from the wife number 1 from Beo, so they're fighting for it. And of course, they have to argue. It's like with humans, the same with all primates. They want to be number 1 and get the most recognition. But now it calms down. The keeper did put a lot of leaves in before, so that the animals are also distracted and start eating now and calm down on their food. Yeah.
I mean, interpret their communication, because it's, you know, it's not in spoken words like we are talking now.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking to me like he would talk to the langurs. You have to learn this profession to be a keeper for wild animals. It is a lifelong learning.
I see.
They are really, really valuable genetic sources. So they came from different areas, so the genetic variety is really big.
So what do you think about today's pairing activity? Are we successful, or we need more time for the 3 female langurs to...
Of course, we need to observe for the next some days, but I think it's pretty nice now.
Yeah, so they need more time to understand each other.
What to do and how to love each other.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. So during the past 20 years, what do you feel, what activity or should I say achievement that you feel most proud of?
We are always proud that if we rescued animals, and especially if we had a period of hand rearing them. I mean, they're like our own kids, and then they grow up and have their own kids and rear them. In a zoo, everybody knows that a hand-reared primate, it's difficult to convince it to take care for their own baby. So usually hand-reared primates really often abandon their own babies because they don't know how to do. And I think here at the EPRC, we found a good way with our monkey kindergarten to make them used to other smaller kids. And the majority of our even hand-reared primates raise their own kids. This is quite nice. And what is also nice is like the semi-wild enclosures, putting primates on the semi-wild first, seeing that they are animals born like in the wild, which are good candidates for release back into the nature. It really depends on what species. So for lorises, we do quarantine, and if they are good, we try to release them as quick as possible. And only keep animals which have problems with, let's say, their legs or arms or teeth or whatever, we cannot release, and we use them for breeding. With the langurs, we try not to release the founders because genetic variety is so valuable to us. We need the wild genes for breeding and aim to release the offsprings.
Do you feel like difficulties because over time when you take care of them, you have some emotional attachment to the animals, right? So how do you feel at the moment when you have to release them back to their nature, natural habitat?
I feel both. I feel a bit not sad to let them go, but it's a bit like my family. They're also primates, but especially if you had to do intensive care for them before, and then they're good, and you let them go, and they also look beautiful. And but on the other hand, you're really happy to give them back to the nature where they belong to, and to strengthen the wild population. So it's
When you talk about conservation activities, give me some example.
like the Lacrosse langurs. It's about 250 individuals left. This species was first discovered in 1932 by museum specimen, and then not seen for more than 50 years, and then rediscovered 1987 here inside this national park. And the number dropped down. Now there's only two big populations, one in Van Long Nature Reserve and one in Kimbang in Hanam. All the other populations are really small, 2 animals, maximum 5 animals. Conservation activity would mean maybe translocate individuals, maybe catch some, separate 2 males back here for getting other male genes in here for breeding, translocate, put them in bigger population, protect the population, that in the end the population can grow. It is different for each species. Katba langur would need other actions. First thing is limit the tourism there, do awareness. Why Katba needs a cable car if this puts the last 70 individuals on risk.
Despite nearly 20 years at the Primate Center, Miss Elke can remember the story of each primate here, and each individual has a unique name. Today, she will take us to visit a langur with a peculiar name, Omo.
Nearly every of our langur has a special story, but one story I remember forever is when I went to rescue Omo in center of Vietnam, exactly 11 years ago in November 2011. She's about 8 months old, and it's the most difficult age to rescue a langur.
Why so?
Because they know the family already. So obviously the whole family was poached and sold.
You say at 8 months old, then she can still remember and recall like that she has a family, a mother and father, and now they are gone, right? So
It's really traumatic. This is now about nearly 1,000 kilometers far from here. We have different lives, we have different people, even we are good with them. They don't know, can they trust us or not? So usually if they're more than half year old, it's really difficult to keep them alive.
So for the case of Omo, how was she when you first got her out of, rescued her when you first?
She had really, really sad eyes. I still have pictures from her. She looked like into the nowhere, and you could see there's like emptiness in her eyes, really sadness. And it took really long time. And her fur was really, really sticky. I don't know why, but usually we never give baths to any langurs or gibbons. But I had a feeling I need to clean her somehow. And as soon as I put some water on, a lot of soap bubbles came out. For sure, they bathed her with some soap. So I needed to bath her 2 or 3 days in a row, and then of course get her dry. And that's why we gave her the name Omo.
11 years has passed, and we can see now that she's very healthy and in good shape and happy.
Yeah, she has a husband, Tonic, and she had several kids already. Her last kid we called Matic, just for having fun, Omo Matic. so it's really easy for the keepers.
So each name actually has a story behind it.
Every name has a story behind.
So let's talk about the rescue work. What is the most difficult part?
There are several different parts. One part is get the paperwork as quick as possible, find somebody who can go for rescue, and it takes like 2 to 3 days. Going to the south, it can be 60 hours in a row. We need to find a car as quick as possible, some drivers, prepare as quick as possible, the boxes, the food, the medical equipment. If there's a baby langur on the way back, the person who rescued the animal has to bottle feed already. You know how is the situation on the roads. You can't just clean, in a really clean environment, feed a baby langur with warm but clean milk, and keep this animal clean. This is all challenging. And when it comes back to here, we need to find a place. It has to be quarantined. But sometimes 3 gibbons come in within 1 month. Where should we put them? Also, our quarantine space is limited. A rescue can cost us like, let's say, $2,000, one rescue. Wow. It can be, And we have sometimes a lot of rescues. Now we also go for every lorries to Langsơn, to Dien Bien. You think maybe it's a small animal, but it's a primate. Right. And it's an endangered primate. So we go for every trip.
I see. A lot of work.
A lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of time.
So let's say when the animals get here, and then you have to feed them as well, right? And they already face so many problems like trauma or diarrhea or...
The first some days and weeks are the most crucial. This will be done by myself and some really experienced keepers. Was really proper recording, and we try within the first 4 weeks to do the health check for them to see what minerals or nutrition they are lacking, what health problems they have, that we can try to give them as best care as possible. And then we transfer it to the other keepers. But the first some days and weeks, it can be that we have to feed around the clock, also at night.
Right. And it can take even like 10 times of feeding per day, right?
Yeah, baby langurs we feed, young baby langurs we feed 12 times a day with milk every 2 hours. Wow. And it's more than only feeding, it is also the playing, the engaging, the interacting, to teach it to climb, to develop muscle. You can't just put food in, put it back to the bed. Right. They need to get everything what they would get from their parents. So our keepers are the parents, keep teaching them to check on novel foods, teaching them how to climb, to interact with others.
I see. Wow. So yeah, you guys are like parents. They are parents. Yeah.
We are their parents, their family, their friends, their caregivers. the food provider.
So yeah, so I mean, on average, how long do you keep the rescued animals here, and when do you release them?
That's what I said. It depends on what group is it. Lowest is we try to release as quick as possible, but some come in such a horrible state, like they have no fur because of lack of nutrition. I can't release a furless Lois or a Lois with a broken arm. So Lois, we will try to care as good as possible and release them back. Langurs, we don't release the fauna animals because they're too valuable. We breed them and try to release the offsprings. And gibbons, so far, we've never released because gibbons come in as babies. They would learn and stay with their family until they're 7, 8 and learn everything from the parents to be ready to go in the wild. How can I teach a gibbon everything what he would learn, what it would learn from the parents? It would be a full-time job like for the parents. And releasing gibbons is very cost and time intense. Also releasing langurs is very cost intense. Just the figure, releasing a family group of 4 langurs cost about $20,000. Not only the health check, the finding the suitable area, working with the rangers, doing education to the locals, and then release them. We put a radio collar around them to track them. One radio collar is $2,500, and you need a biologist who follows up. You don't want to put something just in a forest, chuck it in there and not follow it up. You need to know, did they connect with another group? Did they split up? Did they survive? In the worst case, they're just dying. Yeah. So it's not about throw something into the forest. It is about doing a successful reintroduction and job. Something what is beneficial for this animal, but also beneficial for the population in the wild.
Yeah.
The workday for the caregivers of wild animals rescued from illegal wildlife traders starts very early at the Cúc Phương Endangered Primate Rescue Center. The staff began work at 6 a.m. every day. When she first arrived, Elke Schwitz only used English, while most of her co-workers spoke Vietnamese. Some are from native ethnic groups though, and speak the native Muong language, so to become a part of the center, communicate easily with her co-workers, and share her experience caring for primates, Elke learned Vietnamese, and later learned to speak Muong.
Hai khỏe chưa? Khỏe hăng hay là khỏe sơ sơ thôi à?
Cũng hơi mệt tí.
Vẫn hơi mệt gì đâu nhá, một ngày không đi chặt lá đúng không?
Tùy.
Không, cứ nói rõ đi để...
Em sáng lịch em.
Hả? Đấy, nhưng mà thầy bảo là đi chặt lá được không?
Làm đi em cũng làm được.
Ok, thì thầy con nào hãy tự làm cho em.
Mưa rừng ơi, mưa rừng.
Mưa rừng à?
That is how a day begins at the Cúc Phương Endangered Primate Rescue Center. Elke and the center staff love caring for the primates and ensuring they grow up healthy and happy.
So during your 20 years of working, do you have any moment of regret?
I never regretted that I stay here, because this is the place I really want to be, and this is the people and the animals I want to be around. No, actually not. But sometimes, yes, conservation work can be really frustrating. And sometimes also like wasting time with paperwork, wasting time on the road. And also sometimes what makes me think of the stories, what I hear, all these young langurs and gibbons. The reporting from the rangers is always they lost their way, they lost their parents. There is nearly zero primate that loses their parents. Gibbons living 20 meters high in a tree. They are not waiting on side of the road and somebody rescue them. This is the stories the people tell the rangers, not get punished. If we don't have examples, and now it starts law enforcement, punishment, if somebody kills langurs, 5-year prison, because it is a critical endangered species. And people who trade and hunt in a high scale, they don't care about the animals, they care about this big money. Wildlife trade is, after drug trafficking, the second biggest business. If we don't really do the law enforcement, put them to prison. The laws are they're good in Vietnam. The laws are really, really good.
But the
It's
implementation,
enforcement,
and yeah.
Đầu năm nay thì có một việc mà chị Cờ làm mà tôi nhớ mãi không quên. Đấy là một con mẹ vọc đẻ được một con non, nhưng mà mẹ vọc cũng bị tắc sữa nên là không cho được con bú, nên là cứ vứt con ở dưới cái sân ấy, nên là không biết là con non đấy có sống hay không. Thì chị Cờ gọi tôi ra là em bế con non cho tôi để tôi xem con mẹ nó có sữa hay không. Và tôi ngoảnh đầu quay lại thì tôi nhìn thấy chị Cờ quỳ xuống và chị mút cái tí của mẹ vọc đấy. Và đúng lúc đấy tôi chết lặng người luôn. Tôi không biết là tại sao chị lại làm được cái công việc như vậy, mà trong khi đấy bản thân tôi cũng đã từng nuôi con, nhưng tôi chưa bao giờ làm được cái việc như chị đã làm. Và bây giờ con non của nó sống và rất tốt ở trên cái chuồng 6A kia.
Looking after the primates here, it's not always orthodox, but based on many years of observing, bonding and interacting with these species. Among the most daunting of tasks is rearing primate babies who have lost their mothers.
Con bé vẫn bình thường vẫn phải uống sữa mẹ, nhưng mà không có mẹ. Nhiều nhất là lý do là người săn bắt bắn chết mẹ, thì mình cứu hộ về là mình phải làm mẹ cho nó. Con vọc có vi khuẩn chống dạ dày để tiêu hóa lá, thì bắt buộc mình phải đi lấy một ít phần của một con khỏe đúng loài cho nó để cho phá vô sữa. Đời quá. Rồi chứ. Hôm này cần không? Ở đâu? Đâu? Có đi. Ai mà uống rồi thế, uống từ từ thôi chị ơi, đừng uống vội vàng quá. Chị rồi thế nhỉ, chị ơi, rồi quá là rồi nhỉ, chị ơi. Chị rồi thật, hả? Con này là rất là dễ. Còn ban đêm nó cũng không có muốn ngủ một mình, nó sợ nhá. Bình thường mẹ bé nó suốt ngày, buổi tối 6 giờ 5 giờ mình về, cho nó vào cái chuồng, cho nó tui nập nóng, hay là một con gà bông. Nó ốm nhưng mà nó không có thoải mái, nó biết là đây là tui nập nóng, đây là câu bông, đây là không phải là mẹ, thì mình vẫn phải đến cách nhau 3 tiếng để cho nó ăn. Sau đó nó khóc tiếp, mình cũng tiếc. Ôi giời ơi, khóc thì mà lại thôi.
With a passion for primates, Elke and her co-workers have dedicated themselves to the care of hundreds of primates residing here. Witnessing their healthy growth is a daily joy for the rescue center staff.
So, after 20 years of working here, do you see Vietnam has made any progress in terms of wildlife conservation?
Yes, definitely there is progress and more awareness. I also see that there's more knowledge around and more attention. I see also that the media focus more on wildlife now and conservation, but also I can see clear that like the trade shifted. The trade shifted from openly selling wild animals to secretly selling in locked Facebook groups or in YouTube channels where still nobody can do anything. Unfortunately, but the awareness is rising, but we have to keep the speed, otherwise still some primate species face extinction, or we have to speed up even.
Well, thank you so much for your message. Yeah, and I hope that the message would be spread and more people, especially the Vietnamese locals, would join hands with us.
That would be really amazing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So 20 years is a long-term commitment, and I hope that through what our guest has shared with us today, you would all have a better understanding and knowledge about the importance of wildlife conservation and efforts to keep it in Vietnam, and join hands with us if you can. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in another episode of Talk Vietnam. Goodbye for now.